Good morning. It's Saturday, the 17th of February, 2024, and welcome to the forum here on Asasa Radio 99.5 megahertz. The forum is the platform where we bring you insightful analysis, dispassionate conversations, and the relevant information that allows you to make informed decisions regarding the topical issues in the past week. My name is Kweku Ajiman Budu, and I'll be your host from now till 11 a.m. Today, two main issues that we will be discussing. We will be talking about this past week. One of the major things that happened was ministerial reshuffle, dismissal of some ministers, reassignment of some, appointment of new ones. However you want to call it, there was a change in the personnel of President Akufo-Addo's government. So we'll be talking about that and the reactions that have come in relation to that. Is it too little, too late? Is it a master stroke, or is it meant to basically aimed towards the election? We'll be delving deep into that. We'll also be talking about the feedback and the reactions to the speech of the vice president the past 2 weeks. So it's been a while since he gave that speech somewhere in February, but there's still feedback coming in early February. There's still lots of feedback coming in terms of the policies that the presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia, outlined in his speech. So we'll be taking those reactions as well. This morning we'll be joined in the studio by our guests. We would have Nikwapo Samuado, who is a lawyer and a law lecturer. We'll have Loratu Musa Saka, who is an MPP communications team member. We'll have Kwame Jantua, who is a lawyer as well as a member of the Convention People's Party, and Thomas Kusibuafo, head of Public Sector Reforms, Office of the President, as well as project coordinator for Reforms World Bank Ghana. So that's the list of our guests that we will be having the conversation with this morning. But before we get there, we have on Zoom, I believe, Wilberforce Asare, who's the head of political and legal desk at Asasa Radio, who finds himself in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, and he will tell us what exactly he's doing there and why he is there. Addis Ababa means it's got something to do with the African Union. I am quite certain about that. Wilberforce, can you hear me? Hello, Wilberforce.
Hello, Doc.
Yes, I can hear you. Welcome. Good morning. Good morning from Accra, and welcome to the forum on Asasa Radio. What takes you to Addis Ababa? What's happening on the AU front?
Well, good morning, Dr. Budu, and the 37th ordinary session of the Assembly of African Heads of State. So this particular assembly has been going on perhaps 37 years, and this is the 37th edition. Now, this particular edition is also interesting because President Akufo-Addo will be league heads of state to adopt the Peduase Compact, which is the compact document that came out of the Africa Prosperity Dialogues, which was held in Peduase in the Ebri Hills a few weeks ago, from the 25th to the 27th of January 2024. And so that is one of the main reasons why we are here at the African Union headquarters, which is situated in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. Now, already the day has begun for President Akufo-Addo because, as you know, Ethiopia is 3 hours ahead of Ghana, and that means that the day started much earlier here. And President Akufo-Addo has been addressing a presidential dialogue. Now, this presidential dialogue was essentially called by him, because we all know that President Akufo-Addo is the AU champion on financial institutions. And so this heads of states and governments dialogue was on the theme establishing African Union financial institutions in the context of Africa's agenda for global financial architecture reforms. And during this particular activity, President Akufo-Addo has made a very huge statement. And that huge statement he made was to the effect that he thinks that African countries should consider investing 30% of their foreign reserves in African financial institutions. He says that as it stands now, most African countries are investing their foreign reserves in countries outside Africa, in financial institutions outside Africa. They are yielding no profits. Yet still, African institutions such like the Afri-Exim Bank and the Africa Development Bank are there. And these investments can be made in those banks because they are indigenous, they are African, and they can show up their portfolio and help increase their ability to finance African projects and Africa's development. And so this is a very huge statement the president has made. This statement had the support of the president of Kenya, I should say William Ruto, and also the support of the president of Zambia, Hakainde Hichilema. And so these two presidents offered their total support to the request that the president was making. And he's going to be presenting to the plenary, which is about starting now here in Addis Ababa. Now, in terms of the Africa Prosperity Dialogues, most of the participants at the heads of states and governments dialogue, which took place a few minutes ago, received copies of the Prosperity Dialogue Compact. And most of them have expressed their delight in receiving it, and also talking about the fact that they look forward to participating in the Africa Prosperity Dialogues 2025, which will come off hopefully in January next year. So, Doc, these are the things that have been happening here at the African Union Summit, which is taking place at African Union headquarters here in Addis Ababa.
Wonderful, Wilberforce. And thank you very much for the updates. We're sure you'll be updating us as we go along in the day as well. Thank you very much. That was Wilberforce Asari, the head of political and legal, or the political and legal editor at Asasi Radio, bringing us that update on the AU's 37th ordinary session of the Assembly of Heads of States of the African Union. And like he mentioned, the theme is on educating African fit for the 21st century, building resilient education systems for increased access to inclusive, lifelong, quality and relevant learning in Africa. And the President of the Republic of Ghana is there making presentations and getting his colleague presidents on board on in relation to the compact that was signed, the Pediatric Compact, which came out of the African Prosperity Dialogues, which you would remember was held in Ghana, the Pediatric Lodge, during the latter parts of January. So that's the update by way of the AU summit. We're back in Ghana, and we're back to discuss the issues that are on the table for this week. Like I said, two major issues that are up for discussion: reactions to President Akufo-Addo's ministerial reshuffle, and then the feedback on Vice President Bawumia's speech. So we'll delve straight into our conversation in a little bit. Stay tuned. We'll be back shortly. Forum. You can listen to us also in Kumasi on Asase Radio 98.5 megahertz, in Tamale on Asase Radio 99.7 megahertz, and in Cape Coast on Asase Radio 100.3 megahertz. We're streaming live on Facebook on Asase 995 and on YouTube on Asase Extra. So you can catch us on all these platforms as well. We'll go straight to the first topic of the day: ministerial reshuffle. Is it sacking of people, reassignment, or new people coming in, obviously? But the conversations that have surrounded this particular list, Valentine's Day reshuffle, as has been referred to, has essentially involved some high-profile names who are exiting the government and the cabinet of President Akufo-Addo. So on 14th February 2024, there was a press release signed by the Director of Communications at the Office of the President, and it was titled "President Akufo-Addo Makes Changes to the Executive." And it was in several parts, A, B, and C. The part A had to do with exit from office. Part B was new ministerial and deputy ministerial appointments. And part C was reassigned ministers and deputy ministers deputy minister of state. So in part A, exit from office, it said the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has relieved the following ministers and deputy ministers of their portfolios in government with immediate effect. So ministry and name: 1. Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta. 2. Interior, Honorable Ambrose Derry. 3. Health, Honorable Kwaku Agyeman-Manu. 4. Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Honorable Dr. Kwaku Afriyie. 5. Information, Honorable Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah. 6. Roads and Highways, Honorable Kwesi Amoako-Attah. 7. Works and Housing, Honorable Francis Asese-Boakye. 8. Gender, Children and Social Protection, Honorable Larry Abudu. 9. Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, Honorable Dan Botwe. 10. Sanitation and Water Resources, Honorable Frida Prempeh. 11. Tourism, Arts and Culture, Ibrahim Mohammed Awal. 12. Greater Accra Region, Honorable Henry Korte, MP. And 13. Oti Region, Mr. Joseph Makubu. So that was part A of the ministers that had exited from office, and or the first part of part A. The second part was deputy ministers, which included the Information Ministry, Fatimatu Abubakar, Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, Communications and Digitalization, Health, Works and Housing, Lands and Natural Resources, Fisheries and Aquaculture Development, Energy, Education, Employment and Labor Relations. All the deputy ministers in those portfolios were also relieved of their responsibilities. And part B was on new ministerial and deputy ministerial appointments. So here, ministers of state designate. So for health, which had Kwaku Agyeman-Manu exiting, the new nominee is Honorable Dr. Bernard Okoboy. Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, which had, I believe, Kwaku Afriyie also, now has Honorable Ophelia Mensah Hayford. Information, which was headed by Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah, has now been replaced by Ms. Fatimatu Abubakar, who was the deputy. Gender, Children and Social Protection, Lariba Abudu, I believe, is now being replaced by Honorable Daquan Newman. Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, Dan Botwe's former portfolio, now Honorable Martin J. Mensah-Kosa. Sanitation and Water Resources, Frida Prempeh, now will be headed by Honorable Lydia Seriam Alasan. Tourism, Arts and Culture will now be headed by Andrew Ejapa-Mensah. Greater Accra Region will now move to Honorable Titus Glover, and Oti Region, Mr. Daniel Makator. Then new Deputy Ministers of State designate. So there was Information, Sylvester Tete. Local Government, Honorable Vincent Eko Asefua. Communications and Digitalization, Honorable Charles Achampong. Health, 2 persons, Adelaide Team, Alexander Akwesi Akwa. Works and Housing, Dr. Prince Hamidu. Lands and Natural Resources, Akwesi Kunedu. who is the MP for Menchia North. Fisheries and Aquaculture, Musa Abdul Aziz Ayaba. Energy, John Kobna Sani and Collins Adumako Mensa. Education, Kinsley Nyako. Employment and Labor Relations, Festus Ewa Kofi. And Gender, Children and Social Protection, Benjamin Setre Yabwa. All of these being members of Parliament who have now been designated as deputy ministers. And then finally in part C, the reassigned ministers and deputy minister of state. So there were about 6 portfolios. Finance now goes to Honorable Mohammed Amin Adam, who is an MP. Interior goes to Honorable Henry Korte, who is an MP. Roads and Highways goes to Honorable Francis Asenso Boachi, who is also an MP. Works and Housing now will be headed by Honorable Kojo Nkrumah, MP. And then the Minister of State, Office of the President, Honorable Ambos Derry, also MP, who used to be the Minister of Interior, and one Deputy Minister of State designate as Local Government Decentralization and Rural Development, Honorable Abdullahi Abanga, who is also an MP. So one of the first things that struck me when I saw this list, and we're going straight to the floor, the table to have our conversation, was that it seems as if a majority, probably 99 or 98% of the new ministers designate are all members of Parliament. The question, or some of the questions that have come up in the past week, include whether this is too little too late, whether this is a political move calculated to benefit the New Patriotic Party, or whether it's a master stroke and that the president, in his own time and in his own wisdom, has made a decision that will be for the benefit of the country and the development of Ghana as a whole. So we'll go straight into our conversation. I'll start with Mr. Kwesi Boafo, who we introduced earlier on. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the Forum on Asase Radio.
Good morning, my brother.
How are we doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well.
Wonderful. So I want to get your initial thoughts briefly. We'll go around the table and then we'll come back to have more substantive discussion. I want to get your initial thoughts on the ministerial reshuffle. It was rumored for some time that there was going to be some changes in President Akufo-Addo's government. And on Valentine's Day, on the day of love was shown to some people too were shown love to. Yes, I mean love is both ways, right? What did you make of this ministerial reshuffle? Was it a step in the right direction? Is it a step in the right direction, masterstroke by the president, calculated to help his vice president become president, or is it too little too late? Your thoughts?
Well, thank you, my brother. My greetings to your cherished listeners, and also my brother who is here. My greetings. First of all, I will express my sincere condolence to the family of my dear brother and also your colleague journalist, Kwabena Kwachi for Mandela and Ken City Television or media. It's very sad and very painful that at this time, at the prime of his life, where a lot more is expected of him, you know, the dear Lord has called him to his bosom. But in all situations, let us give thanks to the Almighty God. It tells you that as a human being, whatever you have to do, whatever is necessary to be done, it is time bound, and you need to be serious and work on it and complete. Or if not, anybody continuing will also make a lot of progress. So my condolence to him finally, and then I wish that the Almighty God will welcome him, and maybe one day we will meet we will all join the family and wish him a final farewell. Let me come to the reshuffle. Yes, as you may call it, a Valentine reshuffle. Yes, I believe that it is welcomed. It is sincerely welcomed. And reshuffle is not this is not the first time in the last years of government President has made a reshuffle. It has happened over the period in the Fourth Republic. So this is not the first time that we are seeing it. I believe that reshuffle is done for a reason. Yes, usually there is a reason, not for a fanfare. It's like a coach in a game of football. The coach knows the strategy he's deploying for a match, and he assigns players to those strategies. At any point in time, the coach can decide that you can play for just 10 minutes, and the coach can decide to say that please come out and let me replace you because you are not playing in line with the strategy I deploy for this match. In other instances, you can play for about 80 minutes, and in the last 10 minutes you are replaced. The person who joined the last 10 minutes maybe will come and perform, can even become the best performer of the game, the entire game, even though he played for only 10 minutes. Yes, I've seen players playing for less than 15 minutes, and they won the man of the match. Yes, and those playing for 90 minutes plus extra time, their names were not even mentioned. Yes, so it is like that. There are reasons. Maybe nobody knows why some of them were, did not come back at all. They were asked to go home.
Yeah.
And nobody knows why some came in. It depends on the strategy the president is deploying at this particular point in time. So it is welcomed. Okay. I know that it is proper. Some of them are tried and tested. We know their capabilities and we know how well versed they are in their respective fields. In all life situations, whether in government or in politics or even in general business management or whatever, there is the need at a certain point in time to inject new blood into a system. Yes, it is like the way we live our life. The time will come, you hand over to somebody. You hand over to your children, your businesses, and whatever you have. The same thing can also happen to me. It can happen to everybody. So you must know when to come in and when to leave. Maybe somebody has a special reason. He might even have called the president, or she might have called the president to say that at this point in time, I believe that
I'm tired.
I will not be able to continue because of A, B, C, and D, which to me, I am not aware of any reason to that effect. So we welcome it. It is good, and we'll pray for those who are coming on board to inject new vigor into the system, to tell them that it wasn't too late. The little that you have, the little time that you have, you can make the best out of it for everybody to see. Who knows? Maybe in the next election, MPP wins, and per what you have done, you may be recalled to rejoin the next government of the MPP because of what you have done. Time is not very short. I think some people may say it is very, very short. Make maximum use of whatever time, little time that has been given to you. In examination, if a person will fail, if you give him 6 hours, maybe he will still fail an examination. It is possible. Yes, so the little time that is available to them, let them demonstrate that they are capable, so that next time they draw their own testimonial for the next thing which is ahead of us. Maybe only, who knows, a victory comes and you are told that this person excel, so let him continue. Governance is a continuum, and we need sad experiences. So I pray for them. I also congratulate them for getting those positions. Some of them are my friends, and I know them a lot, and I know what they can do. I wish them all the best, and we shall all assist in their delivery. My brother, that is all that I have at the initial stage of my business.
All right. So that's the initial comments. But before I move on, using your football analogy, I have a question. So, and you rightly point out the fact that there could be several reasons why changes could be made in the dying numbers of a game, and it's possible that it's part of a strategy of the coach, and there are players who play specific roles and functions at that point, and it's possible that someone will come and will be the best performer, even to help win the game or consolidate whatever gains that you made and all that. But what if you know the coach and the fans have been calling on the coach to make some changes, because the fans who are and it's always a dicey situation. You know how Ghana, every football fan is a coach, and we all know what's best for the Black Stars, for instance, and the fans are calling that this particular player, we're not seeing what he's doing, and all that, they've been calling, even some of the technical staff or even some of the players have whispered that we should change this player and all that, and the coach refuses to do so because he feels that the player is playing a specific role and the player is actually performing and all that, only for you to subsequently bring off that player that we were saying you should take him off earlier on. Is that not problematic from where you sit?
Well, you may say it is problematic, but he is the president and he knows everybody. He knows everybody. You see, as for like the football analogy, I will tell you that even they will even do the selection for you. They can even do the selection for you, from the goalkeeper up to the last person. You know, they will call on changes. You know, some players are fans' favorites, but they are not game strategists. That strategy may not work for the player they are clamoring for. It happens. Yes. I know if a person wants to play the game and always be on speed attacking, and you are a player that will sit on football for far too long and you delay matters, such a coach, you may not be able to be the favorite of the coach, you know, at that time. He can bring you in the last stage where crowd want to cheer after the victory, you know. After he has scored 3-4 goals, he brings you into the game, you know, for people to cheer. I know Kotoko player, when they are playing him, on the right side they have John Baraman, then they also have Emba Owusu Sechere, you know, also there. So if the goals comes in, you know, the goals come in their numbers, and then they play the Sunday Ibrahim was the coach there, and he wanted people to cheer and clap. Then he brings in Emba Owusu Sechere, who would dazzle the crowd for people to cheer. So sometimes, as for human, is a social human being. Human being is a social human being, and sometimes his expectation will be over exaggerated. You know, will be over exaggerated so much that if you are not very careful, they will be doing some selections for you. Some people may overrate certain people far more than what they can do in practice. So you may have an unmet exaggeration. It's a human, like if you marry a woman, you know, sometimes before the marriage, looking at you and the way you talk and the way you behave, the woman may say that, yeah, this person has a bottomless money, you know, bottomless. But in the real situation, when things are changing and you are not meeting the expectation, that is where the agitations will start coming. Yes, maybe somebody may be overrated far too much, you know, because of the utterances, his utterances. Somebody may say that, oh, why don't you bring in this guy? Why don't you bring in this guy? Yes, if you are a coach, you sit down and look at your strategy and plan. At the end of the day, it is the coach who will be blamed. After the blaster exit, the first person to be sacked, I think, is the coach.
Yes.
All the others who followed are there. They are there. But the first person to be touched, the first person was the coach. He was even sacked before he even entered Ghana. According to the message that I had, they gave him a message that please you are sacked and all sort of things. So the coach, it is your responsibility. It is the responsibility of the president to appoint somebody and to dismiss that particular person on the basis of a strategy going forward. If he believes that it is going well, he will keep you. If it is not, you will be changed. That is the understanding. That even if you cannot do it, the president still believes you can do it, and you can't do it, you can go to him and tell him that, Mr. President, I can't go far with you. I want to exit. It is possible. You know, nobody has been imprisoned by the president one way or the other, or you are not being whipped into the government one way or the other. And when you go in also there, that we expect something from you. You know, something from you based on the resources that have been made available to you. If the president believes that, oh, after all these resources, after all this information and assistance, I think I'm not getting his full potential. And I think that it is the time to relieve him for somebody to take over. Government is like that. It will change all the time. New faces will come in, old one will go, and they may even come back one day. It is just like that. It's a game of chess. You know, it's a game of chess. You can't say
but don't you think that when you have a president who is known not to probably shake things up too much because he believes in his team, and he said this on several platforms. You remember, was it in the aftermath of the 2020 election, where basically he said that this was his team and he believed in them, they were performing and all that. The only significant changes that were made or have been made happened earlier this year when some ministers wanted to run for president, and so they had to leave government and all that. So if it's almost 8 years and there hasn't been any sort of major change in terms of the major portfolios that we have, is it not a bit, or would you not agree with those who say it's a bit fortuitous, or it's a bit, for want of a better phrase or word, self-serving to make these changes at this particular point in time?
At least as a window dressing sort of thing. No, it's not like that. You see, when MPP came to power and all these ministers, CEOs, their deputies were selected, we had specific problems. Ghana need to build economic fundamentals, put them right, and restore confidence in the economy. From 2017 to 2019, things were going well. We will all attest to that fact. And this great COVID matter that became pandemic, shook the whole world. We are also aware, and we saw a problem. It's just like when you have a wife and there is a problem, then you kick the wife out. Now go out. When the problem goes, then you come back. And you know very well that these are the very people, they were performing. And the problem that came wasn't their making. It wasn't a mistake they made by way of going about their work, but it was something that was external. It was externally influenced. So let me allow them to continue with this and see true, when they continued, they showed results. Look at how hard they have worked. At COVID period, they were building roads. At COVID period, education wasn't interrupted. At COVID period, we saw significant things, difficult things like IMF, going to the IMF for debt restructuring, which will be one of the biggest in the history of this country. Going through a debt restructuring is a hell. You do domestic debt restructuring, you do external restructuring. You negotiate a lot. You must be a top notch on this issue. So when people were calling that the finance minister should be sacked, I personally said that, do they really understand where we are now? True to my word, some people were agitating. He was able to sail through the domestic debt restructuring, achieve very significant results. He went through the IMF processes, almost conclusive, significant results have been achieved. Banking reforms and all that significant results have been achieved. External debt restructuring, the most difficult one. Even here, significant results have been achieved here. So it is time that we have sighted the light. Anybody at all, not anybody at all. This is the time, even if I am Ofori-Atta, I will say that per where I have reached, where I believe victory is beckoning, this will be the time to leave.
Why don't you stay for the victory to come full circle?
Victory, that is why I have
months.
cited so many things. We are successful under domestic debt restructuring. The IMF program is on course. Results are coming.
So see it through. We only have 10 months.
No, you don't. That is why Jurgen Klopp told Liverpool fans about a week ago that by the close of the year, I am leaving. When any time, never leave when you are unsuccessful. A good coach will always say goodbye when the clapping is the highest. For hearing the highest clap of a hand, then the coach will say, I am leaving. Liverpool had achieved their result. That was why Real Madrid was afraid Ancelotti may leave. No coach like Ghana coach leaving. When he's writing his CV, you will see the exit of Ghana at this AFCON in one of the paragraphs. Will it speak well of him? Will it be positive? But when you hear Ivorian coach, even though he was a makeshift or last minute coach that was brought on board, leaving Ivory Coast, you hear people crying. That is why they always say, when you die at the period people will cry the loudest, that will be one of the most favorable deaths that has ever happened to a person. When they will even be thanking their God that you are gone. This crazy man is gone. This drunkard is gone forever. This thief is gone. No. When you are writing a good story about Ghana, IMF, debt restructuring, COVID, everything, the processes of Ghana going, the processes we went through, there is no way a paragraph will not describe Ken Ofori-Atta positively. There is no way. Because what he is going to bring to Ghana, or what he has achieved, is quite monumental. Getting a debt relief, having your debt interest rates, reduced, repayment period extended, even debt forgiveness. Some may be repaid in the next 15, 20 years, giving you the fiscal space. Wow, it is a good job.
But the question will be, who superintended over it in the first place to get to that point? You were the same person who was finance minister when we went through all this. And yes, you cited, yes. Yes, you cited. Yes.
It was bad. It was bad in 2016. He came and inherited something we are all aware. We all saw it. We all saw growth rate that was down. We all saw higher inflation. We all saw CD depreciation. We all saw all these things. We all saw certain activities that were not there. How many Ghanaians around that time even had Ghana card? 900,000. And within his watch, he has found money for us to get 17 million Ghanaians having Ghana card. 17 million Ghana. How much was collected as revenue, even for the state, around that time? And he has seen to it that so. What was even our GDP then? What was even our gold reserve around that time? And what is the state of our gold reserve now? Look at the infrastructure. You know, a minister may perform well, but the finance minister must be the borrower on behalf of government to assist. Without money, what can you do? When you are seeing the flyovers and you are seeing the sports stadia, including AstroTurfs and all that, and you are seeing magnificent renovations at the ministries and all that, and all these new roads we are talking about, they didn't come through thin air. Somebody might have assisted in raising funds, and Ofori-Attah's name will never be missing.
Okay. All right. So interesting opening thoughts and comments from Thomas Kusi-Boafo. Kwame Janto, you've been patiently listening, making copious notes.
Really?
Yes.
I'm writing to my girlfriend.
And the question I'm about to ask you, I know the answer already. What you would say.
What's the answer?
No, I was going to ask you what that
What's the answer?
No, your answer will be yes, it's too little, too late.
Don't ask me.
No, but I still have to ask you regardless. So, what do you make of the Valentine's Day ministerial changes that were made?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to my fellow panelists. Where do I even start
The beginning.
Doc, welcome back.
Thank you.
We haven't seen you in this seat for a while.
Yeah.
What's the strategy? What's the strategy for changing this ministerial reshuffle when you haven't done it for nearly 8 years? What's the strategy? Somebody tell me. Do you know the strategy why, or the reasons why the president has changed people? Let's put aside those who have indicated they are not well and they don't feel they can continue. Let's put that aside. But what is the real reason why the president has done this reshuffle after 7 years? What's the reason?
Mr. Kusi-Boafo mentioned that the people may have run their races, and the president, being the chief executive, basically would feel that it is time for probably to consolidate certain things, or to bring people with some varied experiences that will be able to carry on. And the analogy he gave of football, it's possible that even in the last 10 minutes, a change that you make in the last 10 minutes could be for different reasons.
In the last hour, you cannot compare football to.
It's just an analogy.
It's an analogy. It's the wrong analogy.
Why?
Huh?
Why?
Football. You can be watching the game. Can be watching the game, seeing how they're playing, and decide then there to change. In politics, timing is everything.
But
timing is everything. Wait. Okay, go on.
So is football.
Time is everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes, in football, as he rightly said, the people on the stands will be shouting, change, and the referee, the coach doesn't change.
Yeah.
And what happens?
The coach may be right in not changing. He may be wrong in not changing.
In politics, change, and you don't change. The impact of it is lasting. Let me ask you a question. And my honorable panelist made that comment. When he said it's not the first time of this happening, right? Those who changed at the last minute, what was the impact? Somebody tell me. President Kufuor made changes in the last minute, didn't he?
I should believe so.
Yes. What was the impact? Was it a significant impact? So I say, this reshuffle is not a reshuffle for country, it's a political reshuffle. It is aimed at the general election. It's not aimed at the country. Tell me, what difference are those he has changed coming to make? Tell me, what major difference? What major difference is my good friend Amin coming to make at the Ministry of Finance? What's the difference? Is he going to be able to overturn certain things that Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta did? Is he able to do that within the duration? He came in as a Minister of State, never worked in the Ministry of Finance. He's still finding his feet as Minister of State. You've made him Finance Minister. He will still now even be finding his feet more. Look at the time between now and the general election. Will he go for vetting? According to the Constitution, the Constitution states, and I think it's Article 76, the Constitution states that whether you are retained or you are appointed, you need to go for vetting.
Not in all instances. Not in all instances. So in the case where,
let's read it. Let's read it and see what it says.
No,
is it 76?
It's around there somewhere.
It's
but in
around
the case,
somewhere.
in the case where a person is already a Minister of State who has been vetted, so the idea is you were vetted as a Minister of State, not as a deputy. So if you're vetted as a Minister of State and you are moving from one ministry to another, you don't necessarily go for vetting. So that's why most of the substantive ministers who are going to new ministries will not necessarily be going.
So
for
Minister of
vetting.
State is higher than a deputy minister.
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't aware. So
Yeah.
I've learned something.
So for the
For
deputy
me-
minister, you are vetted as a deputy minister.
Yeah.
So when you're being elevated to a minister, it's a different thing.
But as a Minister of State,
yeah, even
you're
if
a
you're
Minister of State,
yes,
you are not the minister.
you're not a minister, but you're not
Yeah.
a minister of the ministry, but you're a minister of state designated at that ministry.
Okay. That is what it means.
Yeah.
Okay. I learned.
That is
Goes to
why
show you I'm not.
There's no minister. A substantive minister acts
Yes.
even when there's a deputy.
Yeah.
Is there not something called perpetual
Secession.
Secession? Is there not something called perpetual secession? So I don't understand why, at any given time T, we are saying, oh, when the government left, they left out with this. When the government left, they left out with this. You are supposed to come in to do what? To continue and change things. The next government that is going to come, okay, if Vice President Bawumia comes, a lot of things that President Akufo-Addo has done, he won't follow through. If John Mahama comes, a lot of things that have been there, he might not follow through. But does that serve the people? Does that serve the people? It doesn't. And so we should stop saying that, oh, when we came, we saw this, and when we came, what did they? We should stop that. It's your responsibility in the seat to take the command and do what you have to do. And what you have to do should benefit the people. For me, this particular change is a political change.
But
Because look, all those who have been replaced, majority of them have lost their seats, haven't they? They might be very good, but they've lost their seats. They're out. And all those who have been brought in are those who have won their seats. Majority of them. Majority of them. And you tell me that is for country? What part in this reshuffle is for country? If it had been done earlier, maybe. If it had been done earlier, when the crisis was going on with our economy. We could have had the time to look at these people to see what they could do.
Yeah, but are you saying it's too late? Are you saying
Yes,
that these
it's a tad
people,
too late.
No, but then so you're suggesting that these people, regardless of their expertise and what they're going to bring to bear, your position is that it's a political move. So you're saying that there's nothing, they're bringing absolutely nothing to the portfolios that they've been appointed to.
No, that's not what I'm saying. They will not have the time to bring what they need to bring to the portfolio they've given them. Look at the calendar. Look at the calendar. This is an election year, and this particular election, 2024, the election is on a knife edge.
What do you mean by that?
You see, the battle is between two people who have been in the seat, a vice president and a former president.
Yeah, but only one has been in the seat.
He's been in the power seat.
No, only one has been in the seat.
He's been in the power seat.
No.
The vice president.
The power.
Well, he's not.
He's not
please.
He's not been in the seat.
Please. He has not been in the seat as a president.
Yes.
But he has the ear of the president. He goes and sits with the president. He talks with the president.
But
he's in that arena.
But he is not the president.
I'm not saying he is.
The person has been.
I'm not saying he is the president. But in Kwano, it be fun. It be a fun. What do you mean? No, decisions that are made. He sits with the president to make those decisions. I do not think President Akufo-Addo is the kind of president who would sit and take decisions without.
But the ultimate decision maker is him.
This ultimate decision you talk about, why is there a cabinet? Why is there a cabinet? Then don't have a cabinet.
Yeah, but then you have
a vice president.
You having a cabinet doesn't mean that is the cabinet that takes the decisions for you. If you look at, and we were talking about the Constitution earlier on, if you look at Article 58, it is clear that executive authority is vested in the president. No one else. Everyone else acts.
To me.
I'm listening to you, but I just want to. You're saying that he has the ear of the president. The president, as you know him, will make decisions and consult and all that. But the point is that he is the ultimate decision maker.
Listen. Are you trying to tell me, in as much as he's the ultimate decision maker, are you trying to tell me he makes decisions on his own?
I haven't said he makes decisions on his own, but I'm saying that the ultimate, he's not bound to listen to anyone.
So why does he have a vice president? Why does he have a cabinet?
Because the Constitution says you have to nominate someone as a vice president.
I don't care. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah, but it's possible. It can happen.
I put people in place. I have a vice president. I don't care whether the Constitution says it or not. I'm taking the decision myself.
Have we not seen that in this republic before, where a vice president was allegedly assaulted and the vice president was actually at a point, he was sitting vice president, but he was running mate for an opposition candidate?
I like to believe that President Akufo-Addo is not that type of a leader.
No, we're not saying he's that type of leader, but I'm just saying, have we not had that situation where the president has totally ignored?
I would not compare President Akufo-Addo to that kind of a leader. I won't. I will not compare him to that. I would like to think President Akufo-Addo is a listening president. I'd like to think so. And I'd like to think that President Akufo-Addo is the kind of president who will sit and listen and take his decisions based on what his cabinet and his vice president has said. I do not think Vice President Bawumia will walk into the president's office and they have a discussion, and Vice President Bawumia will get up and say, okay, take the decision if that's what you want to do. I don't think so. I do not think so. Because I do not think President Akufo-Addo won't sit and say, okay, this and this is what you're saying. However, this is the way I look at it, and they will sit and they will exchange. I don't think so. I don't think he's that kind of a person. So if you tell me that, oh, he's the ultimate president, executive, I don't think he will rule this country that way. So in decision making, it's a collective. It's a collective. That is why you put people in place.
Yeah,
It's
who
a
are
collective.
who are all acting at your pleasure.
They are acting at your pleasure, but what they say is important to you. Are you trying to tell me, your wife, your children, you are head of house, there's something going on in the house that you feel it should go this way, and your son comes to you and says, Dad, you know this thing that you want to do this way? Yes, I appreciate what you're saying. However, have you considered A, B, C, D, E? Are you trying to tell me you will not think of it? I say,
But thinking of it doesn't mean I'm going to
let
do
me
what
finish,
the
La.
child is saying.
Let me finish, La. And you look at it and say, son, what you're saying makes sense. I think I will vary my decision.
That's
Then-
one
and
way.
Then,
yeah.
And then you take the decision.
yeah.
Huh?
In some
You take the
instances, yes,
decision.
I agree.
In some
but
instances.
not, but not in every case.
But in most cases, that is what it should be.
Yeah, but what something should be is not the same as what it usually is or what it is. The point, I'm not disagreeing. We're not saying two different things.
And so, if a vice president now comes and says, and they will tell me, people will tell me that, oh, but it is his, what do you call it? It is his right to have his own vision. If where he is today, some decisions that were taken, some of the things were put in place, if it went well and everybody was clapping, will you not ride on it? Will you not ride on it? If certain things that this government has done turned out well, e-levy being one of them, turned out fantastic, will you not ride on it? So if you're part and parcel of the decision, and now you decide that this thing I don't think is a good thing, so I'm not going to move with it, then what were you there for?
Why people can assuming, and this is just assuming, that someone is a part of a particular decision, and that decision doesn't go the way in which, after all the jojoing and after all the thinking on that subject, it was supposed to go. Are you saying that wouldn't you want a leader that can actually say, we did this way, but I don't think it worked, so we're going to do it this way? Isn't that a credible leader?
Has he said it?
That's what I'm saying.
No. Has he said it?
But
I'm not assuming.
Yeah,
this
but
is in real life. This is real time. It is not an assumption.
You and I were not there, whether or not.
In terms of what he has said.
He said he's going to.
In terms of what
eliminate.
In terms of
things,
what
yes.
he has said.
He said he's going to depart.
You knew it wasn't good at the time.
I don't know that. He hasn't said that. But there's nothing to show that.
Hasn't Vice President Bawumia talked about the fact that certain taxes really would not help? And e-levy was one of them. Did he not talk about
When did he say that?
Earlier. I think it was even
there
before.
was no e-levy then.
Listen. It was before he even came into power.
Yeah, but there was nothing like e-levy at that point in time.
It got to do with taxes.
Yeah.
It's got to do with taxes. Look, the same way you were saying that, well, I feel if you're in government and certain things you don't believe in, you should be able to say it, irrespective of the fact that you are in that government. You should be able to make your point of view.
The same Ghana.
Yeah, why not? You see, this is the challenge we have. Because the same Ghana doesn't follow that, we are not prepared to change.
No, but you've been.
We've got to be able to say, guys, this thing, I don't think it would work. A, B, C, D, E with your reasons, irrespective of the fact that you are in that government.
But Uncle Janto, in the same sense of what you're saying, the collective, you're making the argument that decision making is done as a collective. despite the fact that we know who